radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. How you doing? How you doing? Today, it's Fade to Black, by the way. Today's Tuesday, March 26th, 2024. What a great week. Last night, Robert Knight on the show. That was an amazing conversation with an old friend, and very revealing show last night. One of the most talented photographers in the world, and also one of the great UFO researchers. Man, he's got two lives. He lives two lives. Last night, Robert Knight. Tonight, Viviane Chauvet is with us. Tomorrow night, James Keenan is with us. Thursday night is an AMA, AJA, Ask Jimmy Anything. I love it when I get a chance just to hang out with you guys and just to yap. You know, I'm just always here, asking questions and learning. But what have I learned? Well, we'll find out on Thursday night. You guys can ask me anything. All right. Our thoughts are with the city of Baltimore right now, and what went down at about 1:30 in the morning this morning. That is just unbelievable, and that bridge collapse. And to watch that video, and the lights go out on the ship, and things, just a crazy situation that the city finds themselves in, and the port and everything else. So our thoughts are with everybody out there. That was certainly a tragedy, and the loss of life. All right. So with that, I was going to mention something. Oh. It's been cold out here, and windy and rainy off and on. And I haven't been able to ride. And so this morning, I get up, I check the weather, and just the first thing, what's the day going to be like? And it said something like it was going to be 65. 65 is a good number. I can handle that. And I came downstairs. I went outside and I checked the weather. Man, it's kind of cold. What's going on? It was 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, and it just never. And it just got windier, and I'm just like bummed, man. I haven't ridden in like 4 or 5 days. Man. And it's cold. It's cold. I've got the heater back on. I thought that we took the turn here and we went firmly into spring. Apparently not. It's holding off, and it's waiting. But and I'm complaining when I realize that the rest of the country is going through their weather trauma, and you guys don't want to hear it from me. But I've got my thermals on. It's like cold here. It's cold, and I live in the Mojave Desert. Tonight, Viviane Chauvet is with us. She's one of my dear friends. Her and her husband Pete, of course, and getting the information from Viviane is it's an honor and a privilege, one, but two, it's so much fun. She's so great, and she's so knowledgeable. And tonight we're going to talk about a lot of things, but kind of center things around our galactic origins. And I want to get some Starseed conversation in there too as well, because she's an Arcturian ambassador. She's an intergalactic teacher, published author, international speaker, creator of the Arcturian Healing Arts Program and the Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing, founder of the Universal Arcturian Online Community, CEO of the Infinite Healing from the Stars LLC. That is her website, by the way, and the links are below over on our website and on social media. She is the host of the Infinite Star Connections podcast and the new radio show Arcturian Conversations on the Soul News Network. She has conducted over 23,000 sessions worldwide in the past 12 years. And I'm going to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only. There she is. She's right there, Viviane Chauvet. Viviane!
Jimmy, thank you for having me on Fade to Black. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's so great to see you and have you back on the show. And you were probably hearing me complain about the weather. What's the weather like where you are?
Oh, well, you really want to know? We're here in the Valley of Arizona. It is the Valley of the Sun. I mean, I'm sorry, everybody, but Phoenix, Arizona is the Valley of the Sun. And for us, it is the best time of the year because it can be so nice and warm during the day. It can be a tiny, just chilly in the evening, but then it's just so pleasant. It's sunny every day. And when it rains, we go like, whoa, rain. What a concept, because we can be months without it, without rain, until the oven baking time comes back in the summer.
Right. Phoenix, we're going to have a great conversation tonight, but let me just say this. Phoenix can get, it's like the gates of Hades, right? It's like, it can get that hot where you go outside and you go, this is crazy hot. It's just an unbelievable heat, but the winter and the spring there, it's just absolutely amazing. It's just the same where I live too, just about the same type of climate. But Phoenix in the summer, man, it does make you miss winter, doesn't it?
I grew up in a very harsh, cold weather environment on the East Coast. So believe me, this is piece of cake here. It's really wonderful. I personally prefer very much a hotter, more dry, very warm, or even hot temperature. My physiology is happier that way. So I'm right at home in the desert of Arizona. I just love it.
Now, let's get straight. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, and I kind of want to start here first before we talk about you. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I was just watching earlier today an old some archival footage from the 1960s. And it was a press conference with Donald Kehoe and some other veteran UFO researchers that were pushing for disclosure back then, early 60s. It was amazing that it was in color, by the way. But anyway, so I'm listening to what Kehoe is saying. And it was exactly, if he said the exact same words today, they would have been, everybody would have resonated. The same issues that they were having back then are the same things that we talk about today. Government secrecy, what's everybody seeing in the skies? There's stuff there. We know it's there. We need to get science involved. There's a cover up. We need disclosure. We need independent study on this. We've got to get this going now. And that was 60 years ago. And here we are today where it seems like we're right on the edge. Do you feel the same thing? Are we right on the edge of something big breaking?
Oh, absolutely, Jimmy. And you look at this footage from the 1960s, or it can be footage from the 40s. You know that you're looking at a very progressive revelation around what has been very obvious on the planet, whether it's UFO presence, whether it's, imprinted history, markings, vestige, archetypes. I mean, it's all there. So what a difference today is that we finally reached a certain conjunction in the timeline that wasn't there 40 years ago. And if you look back in the 60s compared to where we are today in 2024, and of course that's a linear marking of looking at the timeline, but the collective consciousness globally, Jimmy, is shifting immensely. So there's no longer about, well, it depends on the government and their willingness to share, or the whistleblower, or those who really step forward with their research material, or the physicists or the scientists. Now it's a global planetary phenomenon. Light workers, practitioners, healers, people are feeling the calling within themselves. I hear that every day in my work. So we are finally reached that point that there's such a level of demands that says we know and we understand that we're part on an interstellar level and cosmic level, something infinitely bigger than what the 3D structures has been telling us. That is, there's nothing to hold on these structures anymore. I mean, look what's going on in the UK with the so-called royal family and all the changes. What they're doing is just keeping the appearances. They're counting on our collaboration to hold, their facade for them, whether it's government structures, whether it's secret underground facilities, whether it's secret space program, or any form of royalty family around the world, which makes me smile. It's coming to the point that it's only a facade that is holding on. So now the message that we were getting back in the 60s, if you pay attention very closely, it was all written in your sci-fi movies, TV series. Do you remember the series V in the 80s?
I do. I loved it.
I mean, that was quite telling. And I mean, it was right into your face, and it was telling you what was happening even back in the 80s. That seems to be so long ago, with 30 years plus. But in reality, it's really going through that media that the release was going on, preparing to today. We know that the reptilians are here. We know that there is so much more than NASA. And, we know that the Earth is ancient, filled with true history. And it's all over the planet, all over the world. I mean, look at Egypt, the way things are shifting. The temples are coming back into a higher vibration. The pyramids are returning as oscillators of energies. The grid system of the planet is shifting. Our own energetic grid system are shifting in our body. And everything is in that explosion of evolution. And that's why I call it really is just an explosion of evolution. That makes sense.
Have you? I mentioned this last night on the show. There are. I mean, it's really straight right now on television. There are three. Well, there's many more, but there are three major releases, series that have come out. One is called Constellation. It's a stunning series. One is called The Signal, and the other one that everybody is talking about right now is Three Body Problem. Now, these three series came out in the last 2 weeks, all dealing with one thing: a signal. Right now, it makes me feel like somebody knows something. Right? That's right, and I don't mean to go all conspiratorial here, but I am. And then we have the new Adam Sandler movie, Spaceman. I don't know if you've seen that. Man, that is a crazy show. And Resident Alien, right? One of the big hits on TV is about, I don't know what to describe him as far as his look goes as an alien, but the Greys are in there. They've got the Greys are planning on taking over the Earth, and this is the popular TV programming. Is there a message in there, or is it just my imagination?
Well, I love your imagination to begin with. Beyond imagination, it's a doorway to bring back on a more, I would say, gentle, accepted format in media to these TV series that correspond to a greater needs that are happening even in the Earth sentient field. And what we mean by that is that there are so many signals through either thought form exchanges, people who are starseed communicating with their star families. We're starting to get more attuned with different form of light frequencies, geometric pattern, different type of sound and tones, the patterns around holographic light and sound. So if you look at all this series, everything is just described. It's just in reintroducing, and I do say it's a reintroduction into a more commonly accepted format of saying, yes, the Greys have been here for thousands of years. Yes, you're receiving signals. Don't have to be on the radio. It doesn't have to be through a device. Your own DNA is an antenna that can receive those signals. So it's really shifting the dynamic of what is accepted and integrated on a subconscious level, on a conscious level, on a global planetary level, societal structures, and we can more coexist now with these extraterrestrial races. I love the word extraterrestrial, by the way. For me, it's filled with love. I love that. So it's all bringing back what has been very obvious, but much more discreet into comic strip, superheroes movies, whether it's, Captain America and the Avengers, and it felt less fantastic, less fantasy, and they start to feel a bit more closer to home. So it gets you thinking, it activates the memory connectors, they activate these other senses in you going, I am seeing a thread here in the TV series and the popularity attached to it. That's a form of disclosure. Think about it. It really, really is. I mean, I'm going to go back again in time in the 70s. Close Encounter of the Third Kind. Steven Spielberg, all the movies he made. Where do you think it comes? You may have seen that movie too called Paul.
Oh, love it.
Brilliant.
Paul's pretty accurate, actually.
Okay, when they talk about X-Files and the concept of Agent Mulder and Scully and the agency, and then this being from the other edge of Andromeda that looks like a Zeta come to the planet, exchange with Steven Spielberg on different characters and introducing to the mass consciousness. And one of the things the character Paul said, and I love that, they said, "What, you an ET?" And he said, "Well, to you I am. Not to me. To me, you're the ET."
That's
so
right.
It's really understanding that it's really a matter of perception, that we accept each other because we look human, but anything looks different than this, it's ET or extra from this terrestrial world. But to them, it's the other way around. And I love that simple line in that movie, Paul, going, where do you think that these great movie producer gets all these ideas from? We've been talking all these years. And this is why I'm referring these movies who become so popularized and accepted, because it feeds an aspect in us that brings us back to our truer galactic origin. And that's part also of the emergence in the DNA and the activation of these extra strands and who we are. And I can tell you one thing, again, from an intergalactic perspective, we look at the Earth shifting, and she's so ready as a celestial being. She's so ready. And we're looking at humanity overall, and we say, we cannot wait to see humanity returning into its rightful place and taking their place back into the intergalactic community that you're already a part of. You just forgot for a long time. So all these forms are layered of disclosures. It's more than just those who come forward with ex-military and really, big decoration general and pilot and doctors. And we need to allow ourselves to recognize credibility in other sources than just that. And TV series going to talk to you, how the social media is shifting, the direction of the messages is shifting. Are you aware? Are you present? Are you decoding what you're receiving? That's also part of the disclosure, so to speak.
When you see, I want to stay on your point because I think it's a very important one, because popular culture, the rest of the world outside of our community, I should say, right? Because
Right.
we are pop culture too, but we have our little family that is us. And when you go and see a TV series like Resident Alien, and they've got these characters in there, and they've got this guy that's the alien hunter. It's obviously Daryl Sims, right? Dresses like Daryl, acts like Daryl. They've got Giorgio Tsoukalos on the show. He does, a little stand, and these statements that would normally only be in our community. The TV show People of Earth, which
Mhm.
is about an experiencer group, right, that gets together. And to watch them argue, they went to a UFO convention. I swear, I saw you walking in the background, and when you see that, it's the message is going out to the rest of the world, the popular culture part. But that's not what I think is important. What is important here is it is obvious the writers and the creators of those shows are hanging out with us. They're
Mhm.
going to the conferences. They are listening to Fade to Black. They are reading the books. They are into the community. And I often wonder, you and I, how many conferences do we do together, right? And I see you running around, or you see me running around, and there's thousands of people. How many of them are there that are working on a TV show, right? And they are collecting this information. And I think that's very important because it turns around and goes out into popular culture. Why? It's what people want to see. It's what people want to, you know what I mean? And the other important part with that, Vivian, addressing your point, is commercials are paid for by advertisers. And advertisers want their commercials in the shows that the most people are watching at any given time. That's what drives production, right? Of course. So that's also telling me that the advertisers, they want that alien money. It's what people are interested in. And that's why the productions are there, right?
Well, it's certainly an aspect of it, and I feel that another layer to that is that they want to understand where is the consciousness of the population? How much are they really into it? How much are they believing in it? Where are they moving into?
Are they
Like,
getting activated? Are they getting activated and they don't even know it? It's their DNA. It's our galactic origins.
yeah, totally, Jimmy. And I see that in multiple conferences because I know we do many in common, and it's always wonderful to see you. But I also pay attention. I'll tell you, when I'm on stage, whether I'm doing a presentation, I'm part of a panel, my group is there. To you, it may feel like there's nobody behind me, but I can assure you they're there. And
Mhm.
what is wonderful about this is that more and more people come to me after a panel says, Viviane, I saw 12 of your group behind you. This very, very tall being is always behind you. I've saw about 10, 12, 5, 6, 7. And more people start to get attuned. Their higher faculties open. The other aspect to it is my Arcturian father. That's right, I did say my Arcturian father always tells me when I'm on a panel, you never know who is out there listening. You never know who you're really addressing beyond the audience or the beautiful people you see. There's more. They are listening. And what they're referring to, it's exactly what you just said, Jimmy. I've seen journalists sitting, watching what I'm saying. I have seen sometimes people coming in. You can tell by their behavior they're here to observe, take notes, assess. They're really assessing what's going on, what is being said, what source is coming, and they can tell you if you are genuine or if you're not. They'll tell you, they know, and then they leave. I personally have experienced firsthand during a lecture. I was doing a lecture. I think it was the New Living Expo or maybe another conference. But one of the lectures I've done, one of the many lectures I've done, I'm on front and on the stage, and I always keep an eye on the audience. I always keep harmony and reattune my group. And then I see these two persons coming together, with a hood on, and they sit at the very back of the stage, very back in the room, I mean. And I can see them right from the stage. They come in very delicately, and they keep their head down, but I can tell vibrationally and telepathically that they're listening carefully to every word and verbal and nonverbal, everything we put out there. And what I did is I sent in a signal in return. I see you. I know you're here. So tell me and show me what is the purpose and nature of you entering or entering my classroom today, entering our lecture in our sacred space. And if you're not of the highest light or not here to serve the highest and the best and the greatest good of all, I'm asking you to hit the road right away. And guess what happened? Within seconds, they got up and they hit the road and they fled by the door, and I never saw them again.
Hit the bricks. Hit the bricks. Hit the bricks. Hit the bricks. And the idea. Let's go hardcore for a second. The idea behind the science behind DNA, that and which is a crazy thing to say, but it's modern knowledge. DNA, DNA isn't something that we studied thousands of years ago, and it's modern and it's fascinating. But the more that we find out about it, the greater the questions have become. And the other part about it, you have DNA and you have RNA. And the construction of RNA is a single strand, right? DNA is the double helix. DNA gets its instruction set basically from RNA. That's RNA's job, right? To tell DNA what to do. The fundamental basic sugars that make up those strands and what they are flying around on meteorites and asteroids, right? So all that says is that it's universal. It's not an Earth thing. This is not that. To think that we are the only DNA in the universe is arrogant, right? It's got to be completely universal. And that's what science says.
What you're describing, Jimmy, is what we call a complete shift from this polarized, linear, illusionary time construct and how you've been perceiving yourself, as well as the purpose and the function of your DNA. And you're moving back again, you're returning back again into a more cosmic, universal way of understanding your connection. So when it comes to DNA or your genes, for example, well, it's the same concept. If you look at Syrians' DNA or their genetics, or Lyrans or Arcturians, we all have commonality. This is why we all interconnected in the greater scheme. But in this world, in this 3D recognized logic, matter to fact reality, you would say, well, you're scientists, or throughout history, study from their understanding what the DNA looks like from a 3D perspective, reduce it down to a one double helix, so to one double strand, and completely disconnecting the RNA interface that comes with it without understanding that this is a conscious living antenna of information and encoding that is evolving constantly and shifting. So, of course, when you have to move out of the 3D concept around science, physics, mathematics, medicine, education, you start to understand that it's all interconnected. You need to come out of that very narrow, limited way of thinking and think that you understand how even your own body structures works. And the thing about it is that if you look at ET beings like the Zetas or those from Orion and the High Council and all of this, even the reptilian and the draconian, they understand the human potential more than you understand your own self. So it's part of realigning to understand the potential that is encoded in you, even as considered as an earth human beings, part of a greater universal gene pool, that you have commonality connectors, but that has been concealed out of you, and you're reducing to the point, or you're just an earth, you're just a human. What does it mean you're just a human? Is the potential is huge, but these faction, what we call the dark light polarity, they understand that to a T. This is why they're able to manipulate the body structures, the nervous systems, telling you, well, this is how you need to know about your DNA. Forget about everything else, except what we take, bring it into your subconscious field and your unconscious, making sure the program is standing right there. And then here's the structures of life around it. So today we're doing the reversal. We're shifting out of that frame of a constructed reality that was given to you along for many, many generations. And so you start to re-understand, going, wait a second, are you telling me that in my DNA template, the construct of my DNA, that I do have galactic origin, and that galactic origin connects me back more on a universal level? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we're saying. Yes. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And do you feel that if these kind of revelations start to surface, right, where we just went to asteroid Bennu, right, scooped up some stuff and brought it back to Earth, the thought that we were able to think of doing something like that and then pulling it off is crazy town. But it's also like kids in a sandbox compared to other alien cultures that are out there, right? But we did go and do that. And what if we dug up DNA, right? What if we brought, what is that? Is the world ready for that? It's one thing to have spaceships and to talk about this, but to have science go, well, DNA is just, kind of just like flying around in space. That, I think that's a pretty heavy load for the world. Could we take it?
It's a great question. Think about it for a second, not from your logic mind with a false aspect of security as you know it, but if you feel it with your entire being, it just confirms even more how much you are truly part of a universal design, a universal concept. So instead of going, is it acceptable? Are we ready for this? We invite you to shift it around and says, this is another confirmation that brings us even closer to really rediscovering who we are, and take it as a strength, a force, a marker, again, in your history, that when you look and dig up, and that, again, it makes me smile with love, you're going all of the way to dig up some little rocks, and there's other ways to do it, but it's okay. We understand. So you bring your rocks, and you're happy about it, and you feel fulfilled, which is okay. We're with you. But it's what you understand about the significance. So take it as a stepping stone, another huge level of moving forward as a confirmation. And that's going to be important to practice and implement in everything that is being rediscovered, whether it's to a space mission, whether it's the depth of the ocean on your planet, whether it's right inside of your own template. Use them, use those discoveries as a lever to give you confirmation, strength, motivation, and willpower. That's the invitation we have. for everyone.
There was, I mentioned this a couple of months ago on the show when the press release came out. And it was from the American Astronomical Society, the AAS. And this is what they said, Vivian. They said, we need to introduce protocols for the trauma that a professional astronomer is going to go through the first time he sees something out there. And the press release went on to say, we are looking deeper and deeper into the universe, and the odds are we are going to see something, and we need to have a system in place for the psychological trauma that the professional astronomers are going to go through. Now, that was more telling, right? Now, it suggests to me that they know something that they're not talking about. Number one, maybe somebody's already gone through it, and now there's that part. But they also know that the universe is full of life, and we're only looking at little spots, right? That not our community, the scientific community. They're looking at little but the odds are eventually they're going to be looking, right? And they're going to see something. And to have that kind of press release come out says that this is a concern for them and it's on the front burner. What does that say to you?
Well, first, acknowledge it for what it is without creating all of it a distraction. Because they already know, they've already gone through generations of astronauts, or scientists, astronomers that have been having contact of different kind. So at a stage of where we are, knowing what they know, and they're very crafty into bringing another level of making you think, stepping back. How would you explain that press release to a person that seems to be ordinary, but is a very powerful, very connected starseed, who constantly converse with their star families, and then they listen at press release? What would you think the perspective would be? So what I'm saying to you and everybody else, Jimmy, is that take it with a grain of salt, in a sense that the scientific community, it's coming a long way. There's light workers in them, and others are there to block the progress or make you believe that the distraction here, when I redirect you here, you're not going to see what's really happening in the background. So that's why it's called discernment. It really needs to use higher discernment with no fear, clarity, connections, ask different questions. Is that press release designed as a distraction so we can bring the population back here? Or am I looking at another potential breakthrough that they are admitting that there's life out there? This is no longer about samples on rocks and Mars and asteroids. They're simply admitting in a press release that there are complication of life, or maybe not complication, complex life forms, and we're stepping more and more in terms of connecting and communicating with those complex life forms. That's why I always listening to the decoding. I'm always looking between the line in terms of what the nature of that press release is truly about. And especially it is so synchronistic on where we are on a planetary level and conscious global level right now. We talk about all these shows, the awakening of people, whether it's, on Gaia TV, whether it's, different podcasts, people going into owning their own connections, the children. And the stars children, they're coming in and telling you, a 10-year-old going, Well, I don't need a press release. My group is right there. They're communicating with you, and this is what they look like. It's very natural. So it's, again, an invitation to understand who it's going to talk to and for what purposes. And that's my 2 cents.
That is such a heavy concept. And speaking of press releases, I want to talk about consciousness for a second. I said a couple of weeks ago on the show, I was just being Jimmy and talking smack, right? And I like talking smack, and I like having thought experiments and have people think. And so this statement came out of my mouth, and I said, there's all this talk about dark matter and dark energy. And, it's 90% of the universe and 95% of the universe, but we can't see it. We can't touch it. We can't feel it. That's why we call it dark, but we know that it's there. And I said, you watch. It's actually consciousness that they're talking about. And I think that that's going to be the big discovery, right? So I just popped that out there, but I started to think about this. And then this press release comes out from CERN yesterday. Check this out. Ghost particles, right? It's a press release about ghost particles. Particles that they can't see, touch, feel, or measure, but pass through anything, and they know they are there. Now, wait a minute. Wait, stop right there, right? This is CERN, and they are going to build a new machine to detect this. Now, we've been talking about consciousness and ghosts and spirits and what have you for thousands of years. And then CERN comes out with this statement, and they frame it in a scientific adult way, right? But that's exactly what we have been talking about and what you have been talking about forever. The universe is alive. Consciousness and the connection is universal, and entanglement is universal. This is the reality of it. And then CERN comes out with this statement. It's pretty surprising, isn't it, how close science is getting to the concepts that you have been teaching and talking about for so long?
And that's a prime example of it. I love that you're bringing this one, the ghost particles. But now it's out in the open. It's recognized where before it would have been ridiculed or dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you how much there's such an evolution in terms of opening. Something else is opening, something else is introduced. And I would say, Jimmy, something else is being introduced in the linguistic field of the planet. That means that there's new semantics of words or acceptance of discovery. And that's an example of this. So let's push it a little bit further just for a moment. How about we replacing the semantic of the word ghost particle with, like you said, light body consciousness?
Yes. That's exactly it. Yep. That's exactly it. Please continue. See, that's you. I talk about this so much, and I'm so glad that you bring this up. We don't have the vocabulary to talk about what we are feeling or what we, we just don't. And we never have. It's angels. It's ghosts. It's spirits. It's light. We have the wrong words to try to communicate what is really going on. We're not there yet.
I would say you are already here, but you simply become conscious of it. You simply having the tools, the comprehension, and your receptivity or your reception field. It's becoming more wider. It's opening. It shows you that how much there's evolution. So people can say, well, nothing changes, nothing evolves. It's a complete illusion. And that's one example of it. So soon they will replace the word by ghost particle by presence. We're detecting an intelligence. We're detecting maybe light particles that is also detecting a form of intelligence. And one of the things is that when you start to navigate in the multiverse, which is vast, you're going to encounter a lot of pure consciousness being that are formless, and they may present themselves to you that way. And if it's accepted and you want to build a machine around it, we say with more power to you, because that's going to be another stepping stone into the evolutionary process of consciousness. And you nailed it to the T, Jimmy, by saying it's all about the consciousness. It really is. That's the ultimate frontier, so to speak. Like, remind me of a Star Trek movie with Jim Carrey, The Final Frontier, or something like that. But it really is the transcendence of a very narrow-minded reality that has been casting generations of brilliant minds on the planet, and very ancient soul of return. And now finally that cast is moving away. So let's just let the semantic of ghost particle evolve eventually to intelligent consciousness, and to realize that even your thought form can be perceived as a ghost particle if you listen to it, because that energy of that one thought contain waves of encoded of information, intention, and energetic transmission. So we see these particles coming from the earth constantly, like radio signals from the minds of billions of people on the planet. So they will have fun to discover their ghost particle, because they're going to see how much more complex that's going to be evolving into. And that's exciting. It's really showing.
Can I ask you a question? It leads into my next question, but has your Arcturian father ever mentioned me? No, he hasn't.
Well, you want to do it publicly or in private?
Okay. All right. That makes me feel better, because that communication, there's a method to my madness, Vivian. You know that by now. That type of communication, again, we have difficulty describing it and retelling the stories for thousands of years, but the communication has always been there. Is that communication that comes to you, is it coming from the other side of the universe? Is it coming from another galaxy cluster? And is it happening at the speed of now?
It's a really powerful question. So just a quick parenthesis. One thing that my Arcturian father has mentioned ever since we have met, and the very first time I was on Fade to Black, leading up to today, is that Father has noticed how much you have shifted considerably in consciousness and even energetically. And that's a true statement. And I agreed with Father when he made that observation, with love and compassion, of course. So just a little quick parentheses. And we see palpably a shift, Jimmy, which is, again, more power to you. So, yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So let's come back to see, how do we communicate? Because genetically, I was my physical form of what you see to me as physically, because my physical template and my DNA template has been engineered with the advanced technology of a very advanced civilization that you know as the Arcturians. I have the capacity of just sitting on a chair, like right here, right now, and as we having this communication in real time together, and all of your audience, I am also communicating at the same time in thought form exchange with my Arcturian father, the beings who come in and out. Sometimes I will see Syrians, sometimes we'll have Andromedan coming in. And at the same time, I am consciously connected to my father mothership, all the occupant on board. At any time I can pinpoint, focal my mental capacity to zero on one occupant in particular if I want to. let's say I want to talk to the ship officer or the navigator. I can do that as I'm talking with you right now. And at the same time, I can send a signal and ask our Council of Elders back in our realm in Arcturus, that is thousands of light years from your physical location, and I'm getting all the signal all at once. Why? Because more than in the now, it is happening on a multidimensional level. It's all happening at the same time. There's no more discrepancy of the signal is older, I'm going to have to wait, and then having like 3-4 different devices. Okay, hold on, I'm here and coming back this way. It's all consciousness connecting at the speed of thought. It's there. And after time in all the interviews I do, I'm here, I smile, I listen, I'm very attentive. I'm here, but there's a part of me that is always in that communication. And that is true when I'm sitting on my couch at night and drinking a cup of herbal tea. I'm still in communication. It's there. It's all the time. There's no disconnect. There's no feed. There's no feedback loop. It's there. Like right now, I can tell it. Yes, I know. They're showing me so many signals all at once. And you mentioned something else very important, and I want to come back to that just for a moment. You mentioned about the lack of words or semantics to express higher concept. And I want to thank you so much for this, because that's always been my challenge. How am I going to translate into a simple verbal communication in a linguistic way that is recognized in this field through the human consciousness? Concept that is transcending well beyond that field. And I always tell Father, I said, what are the words? What structures, what semantic structure should I use to be able to invoke that? And you know what they said? They said, if you're allowing the resonance of the words to align with you, you're going to be able to convey more than the verbal transmission. You're going to be transmitting the corresponding frequencies that comes with it. So in reality, that becomes more of a holographic exchange or communication or way of communicating, because we're conveying multiple layers of complex energies, encoding information and frequencies, as much as physically you're hearing words that comes from us. So this is how we overcome, so to speak, for now, the limitation of your linguistic field, but this is evolving, that is shifting.
Well, I would suppose you could almost, I'm speaking to the audience now, not to you, Viviane, that you could compare the way that music, not words, instrumental music, can make you happy or sad, or you feel emotions. You don't need the words for that. You get the same thing from a painting or colors of light and different frequencies, not only of sound, but of light that affect you. But you don't need words. You don't need to read the words to have that. So that makes a lot of sense, where you don't have to receive it in English, right? Right, or French or Chinese or whatever.
Exactly.
I used to be an audience member, right? I used to listen to, now I'm a host, but I would always want to hear the fantastical side of somebody's experience, right? I wanted to hear about the terror or the emotion or the smells or the feeling, the pain, whatever, just I get that part of it. And then, and when I wouldn't get that from somebody as a host, I was frustrated, and I know that the audience is also a little frustrated. But then I went through my own experiences, And I don't have those details that I wanted when I was an audience member. Right now, I'm on the other side of the fence where I've got my experiences and I don't have the fantastic. I don't have I can't tell you how I passed through the walls. I don't know. And I don't know how the communication happened. I don't have these answers. And is it because we don't understand it? That we're not supposed to, we're not at the level of understanding, right? And I hope you understand where I'm going with this, because our level of understanding just 200 years ago is different than today. We understand things differently today. We are able to, but are we at the level of, like you're saying, being able to accept and understand what is being given to us?
Well, yes, that has shifted immensely. When you talk about you being in the audience, what's different is your expectation has changed. As a member of the audience, you can just open up yourself, immerse yourself in the conversation, the energy of the host and the guest, their interaction, their chemistry. You're looking at everything else from a completely different angle. So your perspective and expectation have changed completely now that you are the one providing the frame for your guests, your audience. You remember what it felt like, but you're no longer in that same space, wearing the same shoes. The feeling has changed. Your expectation has evolved. And so it's the same way with your perspective. Plus, being the host, you get to learn, experience, and explore with a multitude of guests, their reality, their background. Now, tonight, you're talking with us, an entire intergalactic, advanced, beautiful civilization through an ambassador and what it seems to you a human hybrid. That's completely a different dynamic than when you have a researcher or a scientist or someone that is very prophetic in their UFO field, but from a more intellectual approach.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it's interstellar, intergalactic. We're always going to give you our perspective, but we coexisting outside of your frame of reality. We're not bound by your time and space. We coexist completely in a different time and space. So it will change the dynamic, the nature of the experience for the audience, what it evokes for them. It may bring wow, awakening, opening. Maybe it's going to challenge you, and that's okay. It really depends on where are you, what are you ready to bring in, accept, release, and integrate as new reality. So that makes perfect sense what you just said, Jimmy.
This is how I offend half of my audience with just one question. How does the rest of the universe really look at us? Do they laugh? Are they taking us serious? Do they know that we got issues? Are we 5 years old and, you know what I mean, still playing with blocks? Or are they taking us serious? How do they look at us?
I love this, and there's no offense anymore. Remember, nothing is in vain or 3D anymore. This is a fantastic question. So let's take a look from a little bit of a wider interstellar perspective. So we look at this very seriously in the sense that there are many, many, many cosmic groups who are very much involved and interested in seeing you evolving as a race. If you look at the human race overall, you have immense capacity. We recognize it. We recognize the origination of the human template, what it was designed for. We understand, how on this young planet, the Earth is a younger planet, a younger race that has been evolving, but we also understand the level, the depth of interference that this solar system or this quadrant, this planet and your civilization have endured for thousands of years. The wise, enlightened, older civilization like ours, the Andromedans, the High Council and Lyrans, and so forth, just to name a few. We understand because part of our own history, chances are we have gone through our own share of challenges, mistake, learning curves, interference, like at the Lyrans with all the wars and the interference and being invaded in their territory and loss of planets, which is extremely traumatic on the soul level, on the archives, in the fabric of space and time. So there's a lot of great compassion, recognition, and understanding from that perspective. Yes, sometimes, you know, I can tell we go like, okay, humans, chop chop, you need to wake up because you need to make your part. You need to recognize more than you are. And there's no need to feed your fear energy anymore. Step back in your light and stay with us. And you'll see what you can do. Sometimes we want to a little bit come shake the earth going, okay, anybody home? It's time. But you received a calling yet? Yes, you have. But overall, I can tell that there's a consensus, again, with the enlightened ancient groups, that is a time to really bring and support such a momentum in your history. And I'll tell you more about this, Jimmy. The ripple effect of your historical momentum as also waves and ripple effect going to be on other worlds, other civilization, other places they're stuck on the 3D dimension, and that's going to help us a lot. Now, there are those who they don't care about you. They don't see you as a enlightened potential being that can come back into their light. They just don't. It's not in their frame. They see lives and they look at planets and civilization and like they're too young, too underdeveloped, and we're not interested because you don't have enough technology or whatever that is. And there are those who say, great, we've learned quite a great deal about how humans really, what tick them and what blocks them. Let's utilize so we can extract the potential and utilize that to serve our own purpose, more for self-serving purposes. So we've seen different kind of responses depending on where you come from in the universe, what frame of reference do you have, how do you perceiving life, where's your connection to Prime Creator. And I can tell you there's some civilization out there, they're disconnected. They are disconnected, and others are really enlightened and beautiful, and they're here as masters, teachers, brothers and sisters, and others they don't. So, and we need to answer the question that way because it's complex, it's multi-layered. What you need to remember is that those who see you who you really are, the emanation of light that comes from you, that you have no idea, but now you're starting to understand more and more. And you need to focus on that because we are here, and there's many, many, many of us who are here to really supporting this, but we need your collaboration. We need your partnership, and we need you to start to really believe in yourself more. Because if just 1/3 of the population on the planet really wake up tomorrow morning, it says, I am taken by my sovereignty. I declare that I am a sovereign being of light, having this human existence, and I reactivate and I believe in who I am. Your world is going to flip on a dime. I'm telling you, you are that close. So it's no longer depending on scientific breakthroughs or what the physician will say or what is the next expedition and the solar system and beyond the solar system. It's becoming irrelevant at that point. It's really understanding that you are a mini version, if you want to call it this way. It's just a figure of speech here, but you are a mini version of this entire multiverse that's been coexisting in you. And just what is encoded in the archives of your DNA, in your nervous systems, you have no idea of what has been in front of you for generations, but it's always out there on the next research or the next breakthrough or the next announcement. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to go there. Or the next shiny going there. Or perhaps that book. So it's it's an invitation to have a reversal of that approach, and says that let everything to inspire you with discernment, and is it supporting you to evolve and rekindle and understand the decoding of all the potential you have. If it's just another distraction, then release it. Let it go. Release your attachments. There's no need for that anymore. So there's multiple views of the human, but one thing I can tell you, no one is laughing. Because when you are at that level, you see it from a complete different level, and you understand the importance of a planet capable of supporting such diversity of life and complex ecosystem as the Earth. Nobody laughs anymore. They understand what we're looking at. So I hope that summarizes.
Well, yeah. And it's such a good point because if we look at I'll just pull something because it's easy and it's close. Alpha Centauri, right?
Right.
So Proxima and Alpha, closest star system to us is 4.5 light years away.
Right.
Now, if there was life there may be Proxima B, but anyway, we wouldn't look if they were still fighting amongst themselves with borders with different names. They weren't calling themselves Proximas, right? Mm-hmm. We would assume that they are all Proxima Centaurians, right? right. And but here on Earth, we're still tribal. We're still primitive. We have others that, right? We're not Earthlings. We're not at that level yet, but yet we expect that from another planet, but we don't do that ourselves. And that's the line that we need to cross. That's what you're referring to, right? We need to get there.
Well, you already here. So forget about it there. There's like an hamster wheel that makes you believe that you eventually will get there. You already here. So bring yourself back in the here. And recognize yourself that I'm looking around just the last 4 years alone, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. You already here, more than it seems, more than you realize maybe at different levels. But if you go deep down at the soul and the heart level, you know it to be true. So look at the immense changes on the planet. And of course, as you're coming out more and more of an old era, karmic eras, even on the Akashic level, you're coming out of an old karmic era. This is why your structures need to let go, because you're shifting so much. You're going to create a new paradigm that cannot be sustaining the old. It's like telling you, let's build a very modern city with high-speed internet, HD, camera, state-of-the-art theater. But let's keep the building intact from the 80s, 100s. There's going to be a discrepancy just in the electrical system, right? So this is a very beautiful, simple vision it just gave me through my third eye to illustrate what we're telling you. So release the fear around financial, medical, the old structures. You're coming out of that karmic cycle. So that cannot be built on top of an old. Are you going to be building new on top of an old cellar and bury that in the ground? Because sooner or later that's going to come out. And you're going to go, well, we're doing so great. What happened? Well, you didn't clear the basement first. Then you built your structure. So again, you can no longer maintain those historical sites back in the Western time of the 1800s, thinking that you can convert into a very super ultra modern capacity and that will respond to the needs to where you are and where the population is moving to. So think of it this way, keep that in mind, to go like, this slave system around financial exchange, work hard all your life, have a pension, 401k, and then hoping that the system will still be there for you. And when you're retired, then you can go have a trip and enjoy your life. That's completely slave system. And there's other planets who they have similar slave systems. That needs to be released 100%. That is holding you back more than anything else. Because when you release the old shackle that is maintain you and motivate you as saying, well, I gotta maintain my income, I gotta be safe and secure, pay my bills. This is still anchoring you in the old system. Yes, for the time being, we're complying. That's how we're doing. It's just a compliance. But I can tell you that in order to build this brand new paradigm of living, rediscovering your ability to co-create in the speed of a thought, to utilize the entire universal field or the quantum field as your playground to really create as conscious being, you're going to look back and you're going to go, why was I so obsessed with that dollar sign? What do you remember? Oh, that's your ancestors. Look at their archives and their history. You learn. We won't be able to even recognize and understand why was it this way. And it's happening in the now because you have reached that momentum. And that momentum is just expanding more and more. And that's, again, the invitation, how to hold the space and how you maintain the vision about yourself. There's no need to look at yourself from an image of your past. It's like same thing when you telescope, you look at the solar system and Saturn and Mars and Venus, but you're looking at an image of a past of a planet that has shifted already. That's what you're doing. This is no longer what the solar system is. Everybody in the solar system is already beyond the fifth dimension. The Earth is in between to allow you to make the jump, to shift. So this is another huge realization that when you look at astronomy and position of the planet and asteroid and all of it, think of it that you're looking at an old image reflecting like a time look back to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. If I have a Pandora's box, right, my greatest fear, and I realized this many years ago. So I've conquered it. But here's the trip. You are indoctrinated, like from birth, through different forms of programming, school, television, your parents, your friends, that your goal is to buy a house with a one-car garage. Right? That's your goal. That's your first step to happiness. That is life. This is what life is about. And then the 2-car garage. You achieve more happiness. And then a 3-car garage. You achieve another level of happiness. Right. And you go through life and you're doing your thing and, you get the 3-car garage and the ultimate, right, utopia, the 4-car garage with the pool. Right. And you get there. And then somebody says, well, it's time for you to retire. What? This is what life is about? I thought I was going to be happy, right? That's my fear. That how many people do that? They get on that treadmill, right? And they go through and they're fixated on these goals. And you get to the end of the line and you're like, man, did I just waste my life? What did I contribute? What am I going to be remembered for? That was always my Pandora's box. And I had that strange, vision at a very young age. And I didn't want to do that. I just didn't. I didn't. And the rest of the world doesn't think that way. It's a consumer-based world. And I get that, you can't change it, but eventually will release that isn't what happiness is. Happiness is not the 4-car garage. You can get the 4-car garage by accident. Chase your bliss, be of service to others, and find love and find happiness. The other stuff will come if it's supposed to, but leave your mark the other way. And that's what I've chosen to do. And that's it. And the rest of the world, that's my Pandora's box, Vivian. I just didn't want to be that guy.
Well, I can appreciate that the way you described it, your Pandora box. That was your fear. Other people's fears will be to be seen. Or what if I make the wrong decision? What if, I make a fool of myself or things like that? But if you look even at your own Pandora box, Jimmy, to do like, I refuse to be that person who think that my happiness is tied up to the size of the house and how I can evolve into how much material possession I gain, to eventually being told, your time is up, you're retired, and you need to downsize. And you have to get rid of most of the possession you acquire over time and go into a small apartment or something like that. And you go, is that reverse psychology? Because it's completely opposite. But at the same time, if you look at you talk about being on a treadmill, and most people are, and they say they're wasting their time, what they're going to be remembered for. It reminds me of a quote in a movie. You may recognize the movie. It's a remake, called "The Day the Earth Stood Still" with Keanu Reeves. It's a remake, I think, from the 50s. And so at one point, this very advanced star being, or this extraterrestrial being, this entity that takes on this human form so it can communicate with others, he was brought to the home of a very brilliant, genius scientist. Prize, the Nobel Prize, discovery from advanced formulas and all of it. And so this brilliant scientist has this extra-dimensional being in human form in front of him and start having a conversation. And the scientist asked the being, said, please allow us to do this. Allow us to go through the mistake. And the being said, but it's illogical. You're destroying yourself and the entire planet. And the scientists respond, yes, and you're right. But it's only on the verge that can we truly change and make that remarkable transformation.
Right.
So the treadmill analogy reminds me of that movie quote, because when you get off of the treadmill, that evolution to coming off of the treadmill into another reality is your evolution. And no advanced intelligence can deprive you from that evolutionary step or that evolution. And that's why we're here to support, guide you, remind you. At the same time, if you need to stay on the treadmill a little bit longer, you're going to be allowed to do that until you understand that that step is important, and everything else become a cascading effect of expansion, intelligence, and remembrance. And you go, wait a second, why did you tell me it was on a treadmill? Because we knew that that step was vital for you. We can never deprive you of this step. We may suggest you along the way. Are you sure you want to stay on? Do you have enough? You want to take a break? No, I'm good. I'll keep going. That's a good analogy. But you understood your Pandora box that leads you to where you are today. And that makes you a much more effective leader, host, and everything else you do in the community. You see?
Yeah, because I admire, I really do. I admire people. I'm going to use a bad word, Vivian. Cover your ears. I admire people that get shit done. Okay? and that they don't waste a minute, and they're always moving forward, right? You breathe, you live when you're moving forward, right? The brain is moving, and you're constantly getting stuff done, and I admire that. I don't want to be there. Look, when I get to the end of my run, and everybody does, this version of me on this beautiful blue planet, I don't want to look back and go, man, dang it, I wish I had one more minute right now. I wasted so much time doing nothing with my life. That's the Pandora's box, right? I don't want to have those kind of regretful, deep, empathetic, pointed back at me, right? I'm just like, I don't want to be that. I just don't. I don't. And that's if we as people of Earth, if we all have that same type of feeling and thought, then we will be able to take the next step. And if I can just do my little part, like you, right, to get people just to think just a little bit differently, we can move forward. And we're close. I think we need a distraction. I do. We need a distraction.
What kind of distraction do you need?
We need to build a starship. That would be a good distraction. What if I blew? We need to take a commercial break, by the way. You know what would be a brilliant distraction that would unite everybody is that we have to build a giant spaceship and shoot it out to a planet. That right where enough of the wars, enough of the bickering, enough of China versus Russia versus the United States versus Canada? I don't know. And forget about that stuff. Let's build this thing because we have to, and there's a reason to do that. I think that would. It's kind of like Ronald Reagan's speech, right? And maybe that's what we need. We need a swift kick in the butt.
Yes, well, that common project, imagine the Earth being a giant spaceship, and your role is to make sure that the Earth is thriving and is healthy, that you are the guardian as a steward, and you're building your dream ship with everyone you ever encounter all the time. And everyone is an engineer that holds a very secret piece of the blueprint of this giant global Earth spaceship. And then the symbology is that we made a decision together to reascend. And that will be much more effective as a global project to focus upon, to come and rally upon. Put aside the difference about your skin color, genders, cultural background, upbringing, what part of the world you came through. This is becoming very irrelevant and distracting. Instead, you want a project, well, remember, everyone is an engineer with a unique piece of the blueprint. And this will you come back to remember. So let's build this Earth spaceship, so to speak, as an analogy. And it says we're all on board. And then we can come back and return as a cosmic race, and that would be a fantastic project. Which is
that's it. Yeah, you're closer to the mark than I think you realize. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you a direct example. It seems like the only time we really get along is with space programs. Right? The International Space Station. It's the only time where Russia and Americans are partying. We put our differences aside when it comes to that. The James Webb Space Telescope, these international things. Scientists don't see borders. You know what I mean? Well, maybe some of them do, and I'm not naive. But it seems like that's where the cooperation is just agreed upon. It's a natural thing. Yeah, it's really strange. Yeah. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Viviane Chauvet. Viviane, sorry for the delay. Let's get the break in. We'll come back and continue the discussion about our galactic origins. Stay right there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to JimmyChurchRadio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. This is Jimmy Church. Please visit and explore Egypt this October 3rd through the 14th, 2024 with Billy, Elizabeth, myself, and very special guest and the #1 podcaster in the world, Sean Kelly. It's simple to do. Just go to ForbiddenKnowledge.com and click on upcoming tours, or click on the link below. We'll see you there. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black T-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 T-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. And right now, if you get a Game Changer membership for a limited time, you will get Fade to Black Blend coffee with your Game Changer membership. That's right. We have 2 T-shirts. We have the original, the classic Fade to Black T-shirt. You know you want one. Post a picture. Send it to us. We'll put it in our Fade to Black gallery. And we've got the new official Fade to Black T-shirt drawn by Michael Oming. 2 T-shirts, 2 ways to get them. Get yours today. Everything is in stock. Everything gets autographed. Everything includes shipping, and you're going to get a tracking number. And with the Game Changer membership, you get an email to me. You get unlimited commercial-free downloads of the show. Those are uploaded every single night after the show to the website. So don't delay. Get your Fade to Black T-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Viviane Chauvet. We are talking about our galactic origins. And Viviane, how do we become more aware? What's the process?
Aware of what galactic origins you're part of?
Yeah, well, it's just in general. I mean, because it has to, I would assume, it would have to be at the cellular level or even smaller than that. The awareness has to start in the micro.
I would say, Jimmy, it really starts on a conscious level to start to accept that you are part or you are made of the same substance that creates stars and, stardust and planet and galaxies. It's really about unwinding yourself from the concept that, this is my identity. I can touch, smell, feel, and that's what I can relate to. It's palpable or reachable or the facts and, what is provable to me. So you start to get outside of that 3D physical, biological reality. You start to remember that you actually the reverse. This is not your natural state, that you are, first and foremost, a divine being of light, and you came to experiment what it is like to be in a human biological physical experience. So I know that sounds like it's really out there, but many of you will know, oh, yes, I know what you mean. I so identify with this. And that's part of what we call a huge reversal of global belief systems, thought system. You're shifting away from it. You're stepping outside of that matrix that has programmed you as a child of what's available to you, what's forbidden, what you can do, what is impossible to do. And if you stay within that parameter, you'll be rewarded, right? Good boy, good girl, good behavior, bad behavior. At school, if you listen to the teachers, or if you were in Catholic church with the nuns and the priests and all of that fun stuff. So he has programmed you in a way that you are operating from a subconscious behavioral pattern, mechanism that have been redefined your entire seemingly universe. When you start to understand that realities, and I do say realities in the plural form, is the projection of many belief system, projection, perspective, and you are the author of that projection even through your own body system. The way your nervous system project reality, and you simply interpret that reality and identify to it. So this is why what we're talking about is extremely important, because this is really, again, an ultimate conscious frontier that you're reaching right now. And it's happening every single day, worldwide. And it's really on the planet. It's in the planet's core. It's in the grids, and you feel in the ocean. You can feel it in your body. You can feel it. And there's a solar eclipse coming up beginning of April. But what does it mean is that eclipse that so many people are really anticipating and feeling the energy already. It's already happening now. But from your linear perspective, you pinpoint a time on your calendar. It says this is where the peak's going to be. It's already in motion as we speak. So it's really disengaging more and more from everything that hold you back or anchor you back into that physical, tangible, seemingly reality. And that allows you that freedom of exploring new frontiers of conscious exploration and understanding, being able to remember spontaneously ancient knowledge. What if you can, Jimmy? Imagine if tomorrow morning you wake up and go, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a huge Fade to Black special. I just remember my Akashic records. I want to talk about it.
Right. There's something to that. And I didn't realize it until there is, if we look at the science, and I keep going back to DNA as do you, that is a genetic record of everything generationally back to forever. And it's repeated, and I, at a fundamental level, Viviane, we talk about it. Well, it's, you're half of your mom and you're half of your dad and your DNA and your wait a minute, right? That is, it's stored information that goes back forever. And so when you walk around somewhere, another country, another place, another city in the United States, or whatever, and you have this, like deja vu, this memory of recognition, I don't think that is crazy. I don't. That is, what do you think is stored? Those are memories and knowledge and things that are there in our DNA, just waiting for the excuse to bubble up to the surface, right? And that's and that information, it goes back into the universe forever.
It is. So think of it as a conscious living archives of information that is either genetic markers that can come from your lineages, that comes also on an intergalactic level. You're carrying the memories, the core values, the history, the success, the karmic energies, everything that is also associated with these genetic markers. One thing that we do when we help someone that is to release themselves from some genetic markers that no longer needed for them to evolve, we go back into the quantum field memory of that DNA and says at that point, can we release that particular marker and everything corresponding to it so that it allows new information, new encoding to come through. It is very much intimately tied to your level of consciousness. You have the ability right now. Imagine you can just for a moment close your eyes and say, I'm going to connect to the quantum field of my DNA and ask it. I'm able now to decode, communicate, and understand the archives that I carry within me. You have the most vast archives or library of information right with you. Mm-hmm. But what is the one thing you've been programmed to do the most? Is go out there, go get it, do the doing, go learn, go read the library, read the archives online, go all the books in the world. You're always encouraged to go on the outside to prevent you from entering the most sacred ancient archives of all. And that is also in our connection to your own soul Akashic records. You can have that connections. So this is why the DNA is moving more again, is shifting in structures. It's coming more holographic. it's becoming more of a light DNA geometric frequency. And the decoding of it, it will be so as simple as opening a book with complexity about science and mathematics formula and really heavy paper research and go, oh yeah, I understand this language because it's in my memory field. And I'm allowing it to come to surface when I read that book. It's going to come to that point. Yes, there's still going to be movement, changing, shedding layers, releasing yourself from certain anchor, whether it's through belief system, conscious, unconscious, manipulation, distractions, what's coming through. But you are really in that direction. You're really on that track, so to speak. Believe it, own it. And we always says, own your power, believe it, become the embodiment of it. When you own your truth in core in a higher space, doors will start to open up more. People ask it, how do I know what star group I'm from? How do I know my soul purpose? How do I know this? How do I know that? And they said, well, we say, you can ask. The answer is always provided, but it will correspond to your ability to receive and decode the answer that has been received to you and given to you. So it's like a radio antenna, Jimmy. There's the transmitting, which you're really good at, but you also have the receiving end. So the quality of the receiving end, it has to be that the less filters there is in the process to go through. So if I send you a very big signal, but after all the filter system, it comes down to that much, you would say, well, that wasn't worth it. I didn't get that much. It didn't work. Well, it did work, but your filters took care of the rest. Really, right?
Exactly. And when there's such and one day we're going to figure this out for sure. You just mentioned something very important. And it goes back to a song. I forget who sang it, but we are all stardust, right? We're stardust. And when I use a statement that I've stolen, right? Everybody, it's been said many times, but hold up your left hand, hold up your right hand. That's two different stars gave up their lives for you. Right. Now stop and think about that concept for a second. Right? Nothing ever really goes away. It doesn't. And when we talk about star seeds, or we are star children, or we are stardust, that's because we are. One day we'll be able to go, yeah, you came from star ABC 123 in galaxy, right? XYZ. And this came from this star, and that information doesn't go away. It doesn't. Information stays forever, and one day we'll be able to decode that. Yeah, and star seeds today, these kids, their DNA has fundamentally been changed. They're not the kids that I remember when I was growing up. No, they are at a different level. Their DNA has been changed. They're going to be remarkable adults. I can only imagine, right? And then their children's children. And that's the part of evolution that I'm so excited about. I think we're in good hands.
You are in good hands because you are here. And yes, the star seeds have come to support that. Each star seed represents a soul group consciousness that is designed to bring a very specific set of frequencies. But you are contributing just because you're here. The fact that at a soul level, you are granted access to reincarnate in a human form at a place and time on the timeline that is leading directly to the reascension process, that speaks a volume about you. Now, there will be the souls. There is a group of souls on the planet. They seemingly unrelated, and nothing to do with family dynamic or lineage here. We talk about soul group. There is a soul group on the planet that may be spread all over the world. that for them, they come here to help to resolve karmic loop, bring resolution to either deep trauma. They come here to really work on themselves, to evolve and to let their soul take on the next level. Now, that group of souls that is spread worldwide will be allowed to continue to evolve, but unto a world or a dimensional reality that is similar to the one we know right now. That's because it's suitable for their evolution. The solar beings, the solar presence that I speak with tells me all the time, you need to remember that it's still perceived as evolution. It depends on what frame of evolution you are ready to embody and take the next level. Most of the population overall, whether it's the starseed, the ancient souls, the masters who have returned, and that may be you in disguise. And we are ready now to take on the pathway and says, let's return to our natural state, shall we? Let's reascend again. And I do call it a reascension, Jimmy, because we've already done this. I already ascended. Many people, many souls on the planet, you've already ascended. You're simply retaking the pathway, you're remembering the pathway again. And that's important to make a distinction so you can get out of, perhaps we'll figure out one day, we'll get there. Bring yourself back. It is in the now. We're going to claim it in the now, and we're going to continuing taking the step more and more every day. It is really is. We are reascending. We have done this a long time ago, thousands of years ago. But if you look at the Earth history, I'm going to pinpoint very popular 2 timelines here. Okay. Number 1, Lemuria. Number 2, Atlantis. Those 2 timelines are very important because you are finally coming into completion with a very, very ancient historical and time loop. And if you look at the time of Lemuria, the level of faculties and consciousness, they were already going to that beautiful ascended self. They were no longer, they were completely outside of duality, manipulation, doubting yourself, all of it. But then, of course, history happens, and then the descending happened. Now we're finally coming back into that Lemurian Atlantean synergy that helps at the soul level to resolve those markers first in your DNA, in your Akashic record, in the memory field of the Akashic field of the earth, and then finally you're moving out of these old Akashic records. This is where you're co-creating a new, completely new dynamic, new paradigm, new science coming in, new breakthroughs, new medicine way of looking at yourself, new form of education. Everything is going to shift. Communications, abilities, everything. Just allow yourself, say yes. I say yes to this. I am part of it. The fact that I breathe and exist and I am here in this reality, in this human form, regardless of what my job is, regardless of my schedule, it's because of who I am, not what I've been doing in the 3D, but who I am. And when you embracing that, Jimmy, it changes everything. It really does.
The idea of channeling, again, it's not the right word to use. I'd like to say entanglement. I think is something that is more understandable. But the idea behind that, to connect something through over vast distances, no matter what the obstacles are in between, and to have that state of reality change at an instant, not at the speed of light, but at an instant. This is information that is coming at us, and it's around us right now.
Yes.
Now, we're being bombarded with it. It's the ability, like you said, an antenna, right, to pick it up. But the ancients knew about this. And they spoke about this. They wrote about this. It's always been there. But today we're resistant to that. It's okay to talk religion. It's okay to talk about angels. It's okay to talk to God, right? But channeling ET, that's crazy. And it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You can't have it both ways. And that's, I think that's where we are today. This communication is going on right now, and it's always been here, Vivian.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You're absolutely right on. So that barrier or that invisible barrier that make it acceptable or not is also part of the matrix of programming, whether it's fall matrix light or looking at there was a time, Jimmy, where there was so many movies about alien invasion and we're come to eat you and we come to take it over and and all of this. And I was like, and they go like, okay, we're going to step out of that phase because it's only pushing an agenda to say, hey, remember that it's okay to awaken at that level. But if you look into your galactic origin, you start to get a bit more powerful. You're going to get out of the grip of the control system. We have to intervene and create a false energy or reinforcing that that barrier is still there. But in reality, that barrier is as invisible as the reality of money is. Because think about it. What is money? It's a piece of paper with symbol and codes on it. And we all giving it power and authority because we were said so. It is the same concept. There's no difference. It's simply how we abide in the power, the authority that we invested in one topic over the other. So if you want to remove the word or the semantic channel or channeler, just remove it with cosmic communication or transmission or thought form transmission or
Right.
holographic telepathic communications. Oh, let's start to get a little bit more fancy. I'm going out there. So it's simply retraining yourself. When I was in my early 20s, beginning of my journey, more like with my group, and I was getting ready for my world mission, I was assigned a beautiful spiritual teacher. Her name was Gabby. And one thing she taught me early on, of the many things she taught me, is if a word has a vibrational dissonance or distortion for someone, change that word. It's going to change the key element of your entire communication. So if the word channel or channeler create a invisible barrier, then remove that word and replace it with something else and watch to see what the response is. You're simply reattuning. We call it vibrational readjustment. You're reattuning the field. Okay, that word, I can tell it create a barrier for you because you may be triggering some belief system in core in your subconscious field or on the collective level. Fine, we understand, we got this. We're going to move and remove that word and put another frequency instead. Now it's shifting the dynamic of it completely.
I can't wait. There is going to be a day, and it's coming soon, but I cannot wait when everybody just understands each other, right? Because when you go to another area, another part of the country, another part of the world, and you see how people live, and you realize they're exactly like you. We're taught something different. We're expecting something different, but we're all really the same. We laugh, we cry, we eat, right? We sleep. We do all of the very same things. We want to raise our children, right? One day we're just going to understand each other. And right now we're taught visually in the news and everything else that we are different, and being different's okay, but that we're not supposed to like the different. And one day we're gonna be able to communicate and understand each other.
Yes, and you can do it right now. It's called moving into a more universal way of communicating. And there's no need to learn a gazillion linguistic languages that exist on the planet. In fact, I'm going to throw just a tiny curveball, and all of these dialects and languages were created to create separation and barriers among
For sure,
individuals.
for sure. Yes.
Oh, yes. So
That's
you
not.
talk
I
about
don't think that's controversial.
no,
I think that's done
it's
with
an
intention.
observation. Right, exactly. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much. The thing about the word different, we are thought to be different. It's embracing the uniqueness of everybody. We embrace your uniqueness, like you embrace ours, and yet we still be coexisting in unity consciousness and recognize each other. So that's different. You're moving again, you see, moving is shift the word from different to uniqueness. It changed the dynamic of how we can perceive each other. So I recognize cultural uniqueness, thought process, maybe cuisine, diet, change, all of it. But it's all within the human field. What we encourage you to remember is recognizing the divinity of the light that you, the exchange, the essence of that exchange. So when you travel the world, which I know you do, and you're looking at uniqueness, a very unique expression, cultural belief, way of eating, habits, practices, that's all within the human field. When you go beyond that, remember, I remember your light, you remember mine. This is where the true understanding begins.
And we're close, man. We're closer than we've ever been.
Yes.
Right. We're just right there on the edge, and that's why these times are so exciting. What do you, as we close here, let's say something crazy happens. Okay, I don't know what level of crazy I'm referring to, but crazy enough where the entire world snaps to attention. Right? Are we ready for that? Are we
Yes.
ready to be stunned?
It depends on your definition of stun.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what level of, I don't know what level, but I'm talking about, have you seen the new TV series, 3-Body Problem?
I have not. Now I'm intrigued, but I have not.
You've heard about it, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't want to, spoiler alert, everybody. All right. But something happens. Now it's a book series, but anyway, it's about contact. All right. Okay. So contact happens and the world is abuzz about it. Everybody's talking about it, right? There's no craziness in the streets. But then E.T. as a very small part of the TV series, it's not giving away anything. I already put it out there on social media. But E.T. grabs a hold of everything electronic, right? Everything. Billboards in Times Square, cell phones, TVs, everything electronic, anything with a screen, everything around the world, all at the same time. Static appears, right? And you're expecting an alien face to pop up. We are here. That's not what happens. You know what they do? They send a text message, and the text message says, "You are bugs." Right?
Okay.
No, that's not what we were expecting, right? We're bringing you gifts. We're going to cure cancer, whatever it is, right? No. You are bugs. And we didn't like that. You know what I mean? And that's now where this is going. But it was pretty interesting how we reacted to that. It was a shock to the system. It was a shock to me to see it in the TV series.
Well, would you like to know how I would react?
How would you react?
Well, like, click, next, yeah. out of my comfort
Oh man, yeah. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Viviane, thank you so much. Where can everybody reach out to you?
Well, thank you for asking. So my website is the best. The links will be posted, infinitehealingfromthestars.com. We have our online community membership. Work with us. We have monthly series, holographic group healing. We also have a link directly to my husband website, Energy of Service. He creates amazing, powerful tensor field technology encoded with archangel and angelic energies to do it. The work that he does is phenomenal, and I know, Jimmy, you've been exposed to it.
I have my stuff. I have my kit. I do.
I know that's the latest one with the golden plate.
Hold that all the way up to the camera, so everybody can see how beautiful. No, come closer. Look at that. It's just Pete's just incredible. He's an artist.
Thank you. He really is. He's directly from the angelic realm. That's part of his mission. This is how he's being of service. It's incredible, very unique what he does, very unique to him. And so we have the link also to Peter's site on my website. Of course, we're husband and wife, so we're interconnected. We're going to be on the Contact at Sea cruise to Alaska in September.
With me.
With you, with each other. And you know what thing I really would love so much, Jimmy? I would love to be into the Vortex with you on Gaia TV. That would be fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I got a little juice there. I can pull some strings. Viviane, thank you you are the very best. Thank you so much. Perfect show tonight. Give all of my love to Pete and just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. It was a perfect show.
Thank you.
Viviane Chauvet. Viviane's links are below over on our website, and we have them on social media. What a great show. Perfect show tonight. Thank you, Viviane. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, we didn't broadcast tonight on Facebook. Facebook is giving me a hard time right now. Yeah. So there you go. All right. And if you're listening to me now, just come back here tomorrow night or you can go over to jimmychurchradio.com and I'll see if I can fix those issues. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Genocide. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced. And Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, James Keenan. Little Skinwalker and Blind Frog Ranch action tomorrow night. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.